A warm welcome to all our viewers. This is Groa Media, and I'm Dev Surbi Yadwanshi, your anchor for this segment. This is Let's Talk, important conversations about politics and all current affairs. And today with me, I have someone who does not need an introduction at all, because the moment you see him on the panel, you know this is Kannan Gopinathan. And so for the viewers, just to explain, those who don't know, he is an erstwhile IAS officer who resigned from his service just as a way of showing that he does not stand in solidarity with the abrogation of Article 370. And ever since, he has been involved very heavily with the anti-CAA movement across the country. He has gone across the country as a speaker. He was invited to Goa as well to speak on this matter. So welcome to the segment, Kannan, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Deshpuri.
So
I would like to clarify on.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Even though I have my difference in abrogation of 370, my resignation was in particular with respect to the kind of clampdown that we did in Kashmir, the kind of violation of gross violation of fundamental rights that we did in with our own citizens, in the aftermath of that abrogation of 370. So I think that was my specific reason, and the lack of national response to it, that the country not even raising its voice against it, that was specifically what troubled me, and I felt that's a dangerous sign. That's what was the key point behind the resignation. I also disagree with the way in which 370 was done without the consensus of the people there.
Absolutely, and that's to put it very frankly and without mincing words, that's really something else. Like, you've hit the ball out of the park completely, because being an IAS officer and then deciding to leave your service for such a morally strong stand takes a lot. It does take a lot, because I'm pretty sure you've spent so many years preparing to get into the service and be at that post.
Yeah, means not a long period, but yeah, around 1.5 years had prepared for the exam. But ultimately, I think it was a means. That was not the end. It was not a dream to be an IAS or anything. It was a means for me to do something good. So that is the key aspect of it: to do something good to the society, for the people, whatever I can. And I thought IAS is one of the best means a normal person can dream to, because you can write an exam, and if you are good enough and you're lucky enough, you can clear the exam, and then it gives you a platform to serve the people. Of course, it still gives. I don't think there is any disillusionment on that part, that it does not give any platform. It does give a platform within the kind of a bandwidth that the political will allows. It's not you can change everything, but there is a bit of a gap, that a bandwidth within which you can work, and that space is there. But beyond that, certain of late, or I don't know, I'm in service for 7 years only, so might not be in my place to say for historically what has been the case with IAS and what has happened now. But what I observed was, it is becoming a more and more silent service. That we don't stand up for anything. We don't have values. We enter the service on the premise of the constitutional values. We stand up for the Constitution, the values enshrined in the Constitution, and even the service that we provide to the citizen is actually what has been promised in the Constitution. It is not a service. We are trying to ensure that what has been, written. It's a written promise to the citizens as a fundamental rights, and all those things which is written. It is to enhance those freedoms. It is to enhance those rights that we are, sort of getting into the service. 1 second. Just finish this. Sorry.
No issues.
It's my kid.
So and your appointment.
So this is sort of
your appointment as IAS officer is also done by the President of India, which is he's the the titular leader of our country, but that's like the highest authority. And so,
IAS has its own constitutional protection. In fact, I think IAS, IPS, etc. are the only services which is written in the constitution to be, with constitutional protection. So I'm still an IAS officer in the sense that the government has not accepted my resignation, and government still says that I am an IAS officer. And
oh,
it's been 9 months, 10 months, I think 9 months now. But the government still thinks that since my resignation has not been accepted by them, I still am an IAS officer, and I should be at the beck and call of the government.
oh,
Even though I
really?
have, yeah, really, yeah, I got a letter asking to return. I think 2-3 months back,
Okay.
and I said that during the COVID crisis, I'm ready to volunteer.
Hmm.
I will not be joining IAS back again.
Hmm.
So since I said that, they filed an FIR against me, and so there are a couple of FIRs against me now. I think that's in April. One is a non-bailable kind of a FIR or something in Rajkot, and then the other is
Oh,
in Daman,
hmm.
another affair, or not
Okay.
joining, rejoining, or not joining duty, or that I. That's after like 8-9 months of. But this is where the crux is. The crux is
Hmm.
government feels it owns every citizen. It's
Hmm.
the other way around. The kind of thinking, the kind, a person has resigned and left.
Yes.
They have not even processed my application. It's a simple thing, right? I might have a lot of political difference opinion with the government.
Hmm.
If I have done anything wrong, if I have done something corruption, if I have done something which is to do with, and I'm running away or anything, you go
Hmm.
ahead, prosecute, please dismiss me, whatever you want.
Yes.
Instead, they know, but they're keeping it so that they might, in the hope of they will be able to find something. I'm sure they're trying to find something, but they still have not processed my resignation paper. It's been 9 months,
Oh,
not
wow.
9, 11 months. I think I resigned August. Yeah, 11 months. Since we are sitting in July, 11 months it has been, and since for 11 months they have not processed my resignation because they think, how can you leave without the government's, you know, approval? How can you leave? And not there is another guy who resigned
Huh.
just the same cadre, just maybe
Okay.
2 or 3 days later than
Hmm.
after my resignation. But he
Hmm.
had personal reasons to resign. Nothing,
Okay.
not any. In a sense, he had certain issues with the transfer or something, and so he
Huh.
resigned. And
Okay.
when he resigned, unlike what I did, I had sort of made all the opposition to the kind of the moral. I took a moral stand and said certain things are not correct, and this is why I'm resigning. Instead
Hmm.
of for him, he said it is just a personal thing, and he resigned. His resignation is accepted within 1 week. But he said something against the government.
Hmm.
They're showing, okay, now we'll see how how your resignation will be accepted. Now we'll see. This kind of attitude, that is
Huh.
dangerous in a democracy. Let the person go, right? You have, you withhold my benefits, you do whatever you want. But instead,
Yeah.
they go to the extent of putting somebody in jail. Somebody is saying, I don't want to, I resigned, I'm going 11 months. After that, no, come back. I can't come back. Oh, now we'll put you in jail. How dare you speak like that?
Yeah, this is
So,
holding you to ransom, clearly.
see, exactly. This is what it is exactly. And this, it's not just in my case. I'm like, this is a mild example. This is
Hmm.
the kind of case, the kind of vendetta, because it takes it as a personal kind affront to themselves.
Hmm.
How can he do that? He should
Yes.
be taught a lesson. He should be taught a lesson because it becomes an example for everybody else. Tomorrow, nobody should be able to stand up and say we are against something because that person would be screwed up. They'll go after him. This is a
Yes.
message that is, and which is fine, I think, but nobody is bothered about what the government is trying to do or not.
So,
That's
stemming
what.
from what we've been discussing now, and this rampant sense of vendetta and, trying to put officers in line and instilling that fear in them that, you better toe the line or else we are going to teach you a lesson. That's what I wanted to discuss with you today also, but in the context of policing, because you as a bureaucrat, as an IAS officer, you've worked with your colleagues who are IPS officers, and they also, like you, have been appointed by the President of India. and their services lie with the central government. But wherever they are posted to dispense their services, they are not allowed to work very freely. So, there were those police reforms that were mandated in 2006 by the Supreme Court. And today we are sitting in 2020. It's been 14 years, and you don't see those reforms being implemented across the table. The process has not even begun, like in that sense. So, what do you say about this whole phenomenon, and how can citizens ensure that even officers are given the support to dispense their responsibilities?
Yeah. First of all, I have a difference with a lot of the proposals that are in the 2006 judgment or sort of guidelines that the Supreme Court gave, even Prakash Singh, because it did it from a lens that the policing or the law and order aspect of it, or the overall policing, should be taken out from the political influence kind of a thing. But I don't think that should be the case. If anything, police should be more and more made democratically accountable. It shouldn't be that they are left to their own device, as if, it's like that Lokpal movement which was there. One Lokpal would come, and then if he's given all sort of tenure and etc., he will then rid the country of corruption. I don't agree with that thoughts, that kind of thoughts.
Yes.
There are so many commissions which are made: National Human Rights Commission, that commission, this commission. When a strong political leader comes, all these commissions becomes, effectively a political appointment. And once that happens, they only respond to issues in which the leaders in power are expecting them to respond to. So it becomes like that. So one of the key aspects is stability in tenure, the police board, and then quite a lot of things were there in that. But it is all done from a police side of view, that how the police should be allowed to function more freely. Okay, that has been the underlying philosophy on those reforms proposals. I have a very different thought in the sense that we are a democracy, and in a democracy, especially with the police, we have a very long arm of accountability. Not just police, I would say even district administration or whichever way, but the police is the one that comes immediately in contact with the people, and it's the only organ in the entire country or the state which has a monopoly over violence. The police is the only organ which has a monopoly over violence, because it can hold you, it can physically restrain you, it can beat you, it can, put you in jail. And it's a legitimized monopoly over violence. So that is an organ which has a legitimate monopoly over violence, and that is true for every country. The policing is, and that is what gives legitimacy also to every other organ. So you have an issue, you start protesting against an electricity tariff in front of an electricity office. It is not the electricity employees who come and stop you. It will be the police who comes and stop you. So it's the police is actually to enforce the state's will, the government's will, and also to ensure that the rights of the citizens are also protected. So while one aspect of it is taken care, that is, the policing is made accountable to the government in power. The police is made accountable to the elected leaders. Okay, these two things are there. But there are two other aspects of policing. Policing is supposed to be foremost accountable to the citizen. Yes. Second, the policing is supposed to be foremost accountable to the constitution. So these two aspects of it, there are four accountability that policing has. That is, a citizen to the constitution, to the government in power, and to the elected representatives. There are four aspects. The government in power is very much, well established in India. Police won't go beyond anything that the government says.
Yes.
Elected depends on who is the elected representative. Yes. The kind of you have kind of influence or not. They have nothing to do with constitution. In the sense that nobody would say, no, I can't beat you because the constitution says I can't beat you. You have a fundamental right to protest, so I won't beat you. No, police won't say that. Government says beat. So to the citizen, of course, no. Forget about encounters, etc. Yeah. Just imagine the kind of plight that our migrant laborers had.
Yes.
They were not given food. They were not given a good place to stay. They were not given good, any kind of resources. They wanted to go back, but then the train and bus were also stopped. These are all things that government is supposed to provide to the. That would also stop. They did not protest.
Yes.
They just took some, their babies and kids and and luggage and started walking. They started walking thousands of kilometers because they had an expectation. They had learned during this period that don't trust government, don't demand anything from the government. Instead, trust yourself. You can walk 1,000 kilometers. They have that trust in themselves that they can walk 1,000 kilometers and reach back. But they are sure whatever they do, government is not going to do anything for them. So it's better to walk back. And they walked. You'd see, staying in Mumbai, from here you could see a number of people going. It's the same with Delhi, same with Haryana, that highway. People just walking towards the eastern part of India, be it eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, just walking. And what did we do? The police beat them up at every border for trying to enter the other state. They were beating at one place. That these are people whom we are supposed to serve. The government is supposed to serve. We failed them to do the service. We failed them to provide any kind of. We even said we can't give you bus, we can't give you train. They wouldn't be walking if there was some transport. Instead, we beat them up. We used the police force to beat them up. They were not doing any protest. They were just walking. They just wanted to go back home. Their own country. In their country, they want to go back home. Are they doing any crime? Police felt it is wrong to beat. It is right, because the government's order is there. There shouldn't be so much of congregation. So the thing is, fine, beat them up. And it happened. Multiple places. How many videos were there at that point of time? And that is where nobody questions. That how can you do it? I can't do it. This accountability that feeling of accountability towards citizens, or the feeling of accountability towards the constitution, that is completely lacking. And that is because most of our reform proposals have also been to reduce the influence of politicians, that we call as politicians, from the governance, which is wrong. Because ultimately, the only way we elect people or we have governance in a democracy is through these very politicians. That is our accepted form of governance. Otherwise, you can have a bureaucratic governance where you dispense away with all the politicians in power. Just have the exams. Why do you need politicians? Just have UPSC exams. Whoever is in top, and let it be there, and let them govern. Why do you need a political setup? So, trying to remove the political interference from any kind of governance, I don't think. Rather, it should be checks and balances within the democratic system that should be allowed in a much more way, in a much better way. It is in that context that I think I had a tweet in which I wrote that there should be a legislative committee, standing committee on police conduct, conduct of police, and all the police brutality cases, of cases of human, fundamental rights violation by the police, or all those issues should be heard publicly. It should be like congressional committees which are there. I think many of us watch how in the US the legislators, call the officers and then hold them to accountability. They ask questions. It's not that they want to punish them or anything, but they are publicly made to answer. They are asked answers publicly, and they're publicly made to answer, and that becomes a very strong democratic check, because they know if I do something wrong, it's not that I have to just answer to Home Minister, because I might be in good terms with my Home Minister as long as I'm doing whatever he's asking me to do. But there are other forces also who has legal standing to question me. Can you question this in any way? Can you question the DGP of Goa in any way? Can you question the IG of? No. The only person who can question is the Home Minister or the Chief Minister, right? And once that's a very long arm, and once that is done, or even if the ruling party MLAs also, they don't have an option of saying that something is wrong. I'm not saying that everything will be good and this is the permanent solution. Everything will be no, but this will be one of the check. Assuming what happened in Tamil Nadu, there was a standing committee, DMK, or there are ADMK in power. DMK would have been in the opposition. If some of the opposition MLA is chairing that committee, they would have had the hearing. You should have called the DGP. You should have called the SP, and immediately hold them to accountability. That what is happening within your jurisdiction. How are people killed? How are people killed inside? How is it possible? And
Yes.
this needs to be televised. And the officers would also then know, if I do something which is not defensible at all, I shouldn't do anything which in a public forum I can't defend. It's a very simple
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
If each one of us don't do things publicly which we can't defend publicly, things will become much easier. And that's why
Absolutely.
I was writing something of that sort.
Hmm.
It's not a well evolved thought in the sense of having all the what are the kind of powers the committee should have, what should be the composition of the committee,
Hmm. Hmm.
what will happen if they start calling officers for every small one or two things. All sort
Hmm.
of things are there. But that idea being somewhere the legislature cannot, relegate their duties of supervision and enforcing accountability to a commission. I don't agree. You can't
Okay.
have another commission or a state police conduct commission or human rights commission, and then
Hmm.
the judge sitting there will decide what is right or not. No, it is a legislator's duty to ensure that the government is working. That is the accountability scenario in the parliament or a legislature. Is
Hmm.
is check on the executive, but
Hmm.
that check has to happen. For that check has to happen, we have to have these independent legislative committees in every state. It's not
Yes.
just tomorrow. Today this could be this government. Tomorrow it could be another government. So, and they should have the powers to call all the officers. And Parliament, it is there. In Parliament, we have a lot of standing committees on
Hmm.
home affairs, on a lot of things. But those are more or less a policy kind of discussions, and
Hmm.
it has not effectively replicated itself in the legislatures, in the state legislatures. And once that
Yes.
happens, I think a little more and more democratic checks would actually be helpful.
Hmm. Okay, so let me just put an interjection. I like your proposal about having checks and balances and all of that. I've also been a student of public administration, and I have studied the constitution and checks and balances and everything. And on paper, our constitution is actually the best in the world. But if you look at the practical side of things, these checks and balances don't really work out in reality. And when we talk about legislators having control of the police, they already do. And it's not the right kind of control, because the legislators themselves don't have the moral compass to. They use the police for all the wrong things, for all the illegal activities, to carry
Right.
out their political vendetta, to take care of their opponents, to silence activists, and all of the other things that a legislator is actually not supposed to do. So,
Yeah.
in this scenario, uh, I wonder that, although your suggestion of having what you've spoken about in your tweet, which I'm seeing here, is the Legislative Oversight Committee on the Police, preferably chaired by an MLA of the opposition. Now, this is something which would be lovely to have, and also to get the citizens included. But over here, the conversation itself, to begin this process, to start a conversation itself, is not entertained. So what do you do in this catch-22 situation where the government is like, I don't know, it's like a tortoise shell. Like they're like the tortoise that goes into its shell, and they just don't want to talk or interact or talk about anything with the citizens in that way. What do you say to that?
Yeah. So I agree with you that on a lot of things we need improvements, and a lot of things which are supposed to work are not work, functioning the way it is. So I was talking the other day. I was saying whether we are dealing with broken parts of a functioning system, or are we dealing with the functioning part of a broken system? We don't know. So, because our solutions should also change accordingly. If you're dealing with a broken part, we need to just work on the part. If you're dealing with a functioning part, which is supposed to function that way, of a broken system, then we need to understand that what is it that it is supposed to, why is it that it is supposed to
Yes.
work, which way it is supposed to work, and why is it doing it that way. So, why I'm saying more legislature and in opposition, effectively the tweet had two parts. One is the legislative oversight committee, and at the same time, I also think there has to be an oversight committee at the Thana level. Right now, everything is either the district magistrates are supposed to do, the police code says should go and inspect police stations. He has a right, also duty, but nobody does, because it effectively means a panga with your own colleague in the IPS, and then why are you interfering in that kind of thing. And it is true also, because you yourself have so much work to do. There is no time for you to, and when you do it also, it will be always mostly just to show the other person the place. I have the power. I got 5 marks more than you in UPSC, so I got more. I'm an IAS, so it becomes an ego. That decision to check or inspect a police station is not coming out of a genuine thing to improve the police station, but it is more of coming out of an ego with your counterpart in the police. So more or less, that's what one thing I realized. It's not one thing which is completely driving our decisions, especially in bureaucracy, to a large extent, is ego. Ego of the individual and ego of the institution. Institutions also have ego, be it IAS, be it IPS, be it the government, be it department, and individuals. And these two egos are the one of the key decisions, reasons to happen. But at the same time, at Thana level, which is a functioning key unit of where SHOs and all the CAs are there, he generally is only accountable to an SP or a DCP or whoever is there on the top of it, and further it goes down that long arc, goes up to the DGP or Krishna, and then to the Home Minister. Whereas a lot of policing is actually about engaging with local public, and there have been many studies, especially after the US kind of thing that has happened. One of the study which said is the more and more police engages with the local NGOs, the local organizations, volunteer organizations, there has been marked decrease in the crime. There has been marked decrease in the kind of confrontation that happens between the police and overall law and order system improves, and the kind of police brutality has also come down tremendously. So that means the more engagement that happens, it shouldn't be seen as a police now sees citizen outreach as a brand building exercise. You'll have Tamil Nadu, you'll have a Friends of Police, or police in Goa, something will be there. In Kerala, it will be something will be there. It's like a friendly face of police. Police should have only one face, friendly. There is no other face. You are not enemy. You are supposed to catch hold of criminal or something and then put it to justice and make them punished. He's punished, and that is your job. You are not we are not in a personal vendetta or something like what has happened in UP just recently. It is not the kind of thing that you do. It's not a personal. You're not a mafia. Mafias have friendly face and also has very tough face.
Hostile face.
This is kind of a brand building exercise. No. This should be acting, your engagement with the voluntary organizations, with the NGOs should be as a democratic check again. So at the Thana level, you should have a civil society level checks. You can have your traders representative there, you could have your NGOs there, you could have your women's representatives there. It's a simple thing. Have a monthly meeting just to understand what are the issues. Police also has a lot of issues. Policemen also have a lot of issues. They also go through a tremendous amount of pressure. All sort of things are there. So a lot of it, and also there needs to be constant training on what are rights of people. 99% of the policemen don't even understand that there are rights. Inalienable rights. Certain fundamental rights are inalienable. Not even state can take that right away. Even under strongest of subject to the Constitution writes so many conditions. But even under those conditions, it is only when all of that meet you can take away that right, and if that is also subject to judicial review. So police should understand this, that when somebody is protesting, it is for something of the country's good, and the police is supposed to ensure that it doesn't get into violence. It doesn't become a rights violation of somebody else. That is their part of it. It is not to show them their place. How can you do it? It is not a challenge to the police. It is not an ego challenge to the police. It's a good thing. It is that actually the police, people are coming out of the streets to demand for something which is theirs. Because state, the concept of state or the government is that social contract. I'm sure people coming together and saying, okay, we are all giving away some part of our rights to the government so that the government can exert some control over ourselves. Provided they also deliver us all sort of XYZ services. So it's a contract. You have exert some control over us, but you won't touch our certain rights, fundamental rights, and you will ensure that certain services are delivered to us so that we all can fully exist and advance as a society. This is a very simple concept. So the
Yes.
rest of all the government is actually to ensure that first your rights and freedoms are ensured, yours and mine. Second, the services are delivered. All the services are delivered so that the freedoms can further increase. And third, that this this control which is there is also done in the proper way to everybody. We don't start infringing on each other's rights. So these basic understanding should be at least told to everyone. It should be. I repeatedly say this: in India, we don't have citizens; we have subjects. Praja, what do you call it? It's not Nagrik, it's Praja. And
Yeah.
we keep calling ourselves also as Praja. We don't call ourselves as Nagrik or, because a Nagrik or a citizen has rights. A Praja is at the mercy of the benevolence of the king or the ruler.
Yes.
A subject doesn't have rights. A subject is at the mercy of the charity of the ruler. So whatever the government says, okay. So that is why I have not seen a person saying, how can you beat me? You will see a policeman coming with two lathis in a bike. Somebody would be standing somewhere, whatever be it, he might be peeing on the street, whatever. They'll just go and beat him. Tak, tak, do bar. Okay. The guy would not ask, how dare you beat me?
Yes.
Instead, he would say, sir, mariye mat, sir, kyun maar rahe ho? Sir, mat mariye. Please don't beat me. Please don't beat me. It's not, how did you beat me? It's like, please don't beat me.
Yes.
Please don't beat me. What? I'm at your mercy. I request you, I plead you, please don't hit me. The question is, how can the police beat?
Exactly.
Unless there is a directive. There is no standing order that police can use lathi wherever you want. No, you can't. You can't just go on and beat. You can arrest people. You can use that much force to arrest somebody as it is required to, if you have to contain. But you can't
if it's an absconding criminal who has a history of being violent or who has turned hostile or whatever.
That also is you use the force to arrest. You use the force to ensure that the person is brought under control. You just don't go, but we don't use lathi. We get lathi, we go there, the side mein do log khade hain, okay, beat him up and go. No, nobody questions. Nobody says, nobody thinks it is wrong. We think, police, and people, the way people get out of it is by being part of the system. Because being outside of the system is too oppressive. You are oppressed. So that's how this obsession with government service, I think, the IAS, the IPS, because that is where you become powerful. You have been on the other side. Now you become part of the system, and now you can do that. It's not that, and you will see a lot of women officers who come in. I was having an interview with one female, very strong activist, and she was telling, we were used to argue for diversity, and a lot of women police and all should come in. But we now find out that the women policemen actually beat us up much more and give us worse galis than even the men. Why is that the case? And I think it is because the moment you get in, your primary identity becomes that of the system. Your primary identity becomes of a policeman or a policewoman. So police becomes, or a state or a government, whichever department I'm saying. It is not just one department. You go to any department. You go to electricity department. You go to agriculture department. Everything is like, you go there, wait, and we tell you come in.
Is that sense of standoffishness, like you are lesser than us, we are in the government.
That is there. And that is why also you are having this, many of the people are having this conversation or having this doubt that how could you leave? Because you are in a position of power. Yes. And being in position of power is essentially equated as being successful. So
and it's coveted.
That becomes, it's coveted. Yes, it's coveted. So that becomes sort of thing. So that is where I feel the checks have to be at the Thana level also, and the check has to be at the legislative level also. Why? Because tomorrow if something happens, you might know at least 2 or 3 of the MLAs, and you might be in a position to talk to them and say, see, this is a serious issue happening here. We would want you to take up this issue in the next, and have a public hearing conducted, so that the concerned SP or the concerned DGP or the IG would know that if he is so blatantly doing things, he'll be taken to task.
Absolutely.
You know what happened in Hyderabad, where they were shot at the site
Yes.
where the apparently where the crime happened. They were taken there, and same
They were
story that
encountered.
they tried to flee. Yeah, they tried to flee, and there's no encounter. It's just killing.
Yes.
So it's ridiculous to say it is encounter. Like they expect all of us to be. The question was merely this: do you agree to the killing, or do you not agree to the killing? It's as simple as that. It is not even whether it is an encounter or not an encounter. Do you agree to, because they raped a girl and murdered her in the most brutal way? So do you accept the killing of them, or they should have been given an escape route through which they can go into judicial and then unable to prove all sort of loopholes in the. So they
Yes,
started.
yes.
So I remember I was in Bihar at that point of time, and I was having a school, girls' school. I was having this conversation. Every single student there, majority, said it is right. They should have been killed, and we are all happy that they were killed because that message should be sent. And then I asked a very simple question. Okay, now tomorrow somebody else is raped. So should that person also be killed? So then they were grappling for this answer. Okay, I said, forget about rape. Somebody else was brutally murdered. Okay, should that person be killed? So then they asked. Then they said this answer. They said yes. If they have done it, then they should be killed. But I asked, how do you know if they have done it? That's the whole point. There is a whole if they have done it. So what happens if they have done part? If they have done part is where the whole judicial process comes in. That is exactly for which you had judicial process. And if we start short circuiting that part, then when we supported, when you support Hyderabad encounter, then you can't say anything against the Vikas Dubey encounter.
Yes.
Because why? Where a girl was raped and you supported, where an 8 policemen were killed, that person should be allowed free. No, he should be also killed. So there is no end to it. And the counter to this, you've seen, you might feel that this is a solution, but the crime don't stop like this. Crime, then it becomes even more weaponized mafia. So the next time you will find more Vikas Dubeis, but now with more sophisticated weapons. Because now they know police is not here to catch us. Police is here to kill us. So the only way to survive is to kill the police back. So now we have we'll go into this mafia. And this is not the journey we are starting now. We did all this. And that is how, after a long period of all this churning, that civilizations have started, begin to this judicial process, due process, procedures. And this is not something we came out and one day and said, okay, we'll have all this process. No, we had all this sort of knee-jerk justice delivered, and we understood that this is not a solution, and that's how we came here. But now again we seem to be kill, show a lesson. The whole reason, idea of everything, teach him a lesson, and that lesson, not him, teach a lesson to the public at large. If you do this, this is what is going to happen. We are not going to give you the chance of proving innocence, X, Y, Z, nothing. We are just going to kill you. Point blank. That's it. So this becomes a very, let's assume now we had a committee in UP or in Tamil Nadu, at least we could have understood a lot more. We still don't know, we might never know whether those 3 were the people who actually raped that girl. It could be somebody else. Like that, we never know what and whose connections and whose directions were there with Vikas Dubey. Who are the people who are trying to do that. So this again becomes the concern. So yeah,
absolutely. So thank you so much for taking the time today and having this conversation. And the takeaway from whatever you've said, it has to be again going back to procedural checks and balances. And I think somewhere the change has to start from the people, and because it's not going to start from the legislators. Pretty sure about that. Otherwise, it would have already happened. So I would like you to conclude by giving your message to the people, and then we'll sign off. What do you have to say about,
nothing much as such, but I think the only thing is it's very easy for us to demand for instant justice, that somebody should be, and it's also very correct to feel dejected, disappointed, and angry about
mm,
the kind of delays that we have or the failures of our existing systems.
mm,
But as a country, we have come this far. We started at some 13 percentage as our literacy or 30 as our life expectancy, and
mm,
with 40 lakh people dying out of famine in
mm,
1940s. And we
mm,
have come this far because we put certain values in certain basic procedural checks, or the fairness of the procedures. It's not the
mm,
fairness of the end, it's the fairness of the means. And
mm,
both the fairness of means and fairness of ends, we had certain belief in that. We were in a journey there. We were not
mm.
there yet, but we were in a journey towards that direction. Now,
Yes.
if we start taking, a look saying that no, this is not the right way to do it,
Mm.
instead, forget about the means, we have to go to the ends. The issue is we'll end up doing a lot more wrongs than
Yes.
the wrong that we end up, wanted to right. So
Mm.
we should actually go back, and it's not just about this government, that government, or anything. The governments respond to what they perceive is a people's demand, or people's acceptance. So
Mm.
UP government knows I kill because the way nobody's going to ask a question. And in fact, it might even know this, that if I don't kill, people will
Mm.
actually feel that he is not killed. Or a Hyderabad police corps would know that so much of public outrage and anger is there against those three people.
Mm.
Then to just to feed to that demand, we can kill, and it will only be uploaded. It will not be questioned. So
Mm.
government respond to what they perceive to be the
Mm.
people's sentiments and moods. And
Yes.
so there is no reason to justify, there is no reason to defend what is
Mm.
against our constitutional principles, what is against our procedural aspects of our constitution which has been enshrined. So think twice before saying that usko maar do,
Mm.
khatam kar dena chahiye. He should be killed point blank. These are easy statements to make.
Yes.
Uh, Tomorrow it could be you, it could be your son, it could be another child, it could be somebody else, and then you
Yes.
feel outraged for having defended something, some purpose. So I think we were on a journey. I think we need to travel further. It's not
Mm.
a time to take it, but more and more demand for democratic checks. Start
Mm.
asking for, if something is bad. A lot of countries had written India off in the 1950s, saying
Mm.
that India is not going to survive with the democracy. Because
Mm.
at
Mm.
13% of literacy, it is expected to have a democracy. But
Mm.
what we did was we went more and more democratic. To
Mm.
ensure that the democracy becomes successful, we went more and more democratic. And
Mm.
I, as a person, I'm a product of that kind of a country. I cannot feel anything bad towards the country because my grandfather was a daily wager laborer. My father
Mm.
was an upper division clerk, and I became an IAS officer, and I could
Mm.
resign. So it is. So I shared the country's fortune. As the country was growing, I shared that
Mm.
fortune, and I cannot say. And a lot of us are actually products of what is happening, good that is happening in the country.
Yes.
So I think we need to trust in our country. We need to trust the constitution. We need to trust what our founding fathers or our leaders at that point of time gave us, and we need to work on it further. I think that is my message.
Yes, absolutely, because that's the spirit that makes us the democracy that we have been, and it will ensure that we continue as a democracy. No matter how slow, yes, judiciary is very slow in processing cases, matter gets held up and everything, but there is a certain respect and decorum for the process of the judiciary that needs to be maintained, and the police has to do its job the way it's supposed to do. They are not uh, the judge or the jury. So, and they can execute once the judiciary decides on a sentence, but they can't carry out, they can't pronounce a sentence for the person without due process of law. So, thank you so much. And I don't know, whenever we talk, I think the time flies. So to our viewers, it was lovely having Kannan Gopinathan with us today. You heard his views about a lot of the aspects. We've spoken about uh, police reforms. We've spoken about the bureaucracy. We've spoken about the functions of the police, and also in the context of the recent encounter of Vikas Dubey that's taken place in UP. and also the sodomization case of Jairaj and Phoenix in Tamil Nadu. So we would like to hear from you. Please do write in your comments and what you think about our conversation today, and keep following our channel for more. Thank you once again, Kannan, for gracing our segment and talking about this.
Thank you.